Don't care about all that. Thank you. I don't want to be in Photoshop. Let's get back. Okay. So for the final exam, it says create a 10-second animation at 30 frames per second. How do we do that? How do we set up how many frames our project's going to be?
Don't we set it up?
It's in the project settings.
Yeah.
It's in the project settings, which when we first open are either down here, or we can do edit project settings, which takes us down here anyway. So 10 seconds, 30 frames per second, 10 times 30 is?
300.
Okay. Create a text spline with your name and use an extrude or sweep NURB to give it volume. NURBs are here. Excuse me. NURBs are there, but we need the spline first. Oh, good, it updated. Everything looks different.
Yeah. Let's have it.
Okay.
Gotta love when it updates and you have to get your bearings again.
Okay. There's my name. And let's go ahead and move this. Okay. So there's my name, and we're good. I'm going to go ahead and reset the X and the Y to 0 so that it's kind of where I need it to be. Okay. And we need to add some sort of some sort of NURBS to it. I want to do an extrusion or a sweep.
Extrusion.
Extruding along the x-axis. Text should go in the extrusion, and we're good, right? Okay. Add a material. We need to go into the material manager. Go into color now. Okay. We can give it a little bit of a reflection if we wanted. And I'll go in and I don't want it to be rough, thank you. I don't want really any diffusion either if I can help it. Reflection strength. Okay, they changed this too. Okay, how fun. Good enough. I've got a material, right? Need to add the material to the extrusion. Hey, nice. It's going to be slow apparently today, so that's fine. Under region. Okay. Because of the reflection against the black, we're seeing nothing.
Under reflectance, it should be just the
It should be what?
I think it's under default diffuse, I think. The reflection strength.
Still don't think we're going to see anything, but yeah. And it could be my machine because it was so low on RAM resources. It could be that. Okay, anyway, we won't worry about that right now. All right, so we've done added in material. Add at least 2 other objects with different materials, okay? There's one object. And we'll we'll add another object. Let's kind of put it somewhere. Okay, there's two objects. Yay. Okay, two other materials. 1, 2. Make one green. Make one pinkish. Let's go ahead and make that thing yellow. Okay. So, pink, green, fine. Okay.
So how to do the reflectance?
Yeah. Well, it could be that, again, it could be a processor issue or it could be the reflectance. Anyway, so we've done that. Animate two lights that highlight your name. One must be a spotlight. Okay, so we need to add a couple lights. And make sure it's a spot.
So what kind of light is it by default?
Omnilight.
Omnilight. Thank you.
Okay, there's one light. Here is another light. Yes, you do have to do the sound effects in case you have not learned that yet. Okay, two lights. All right, and we want to animate them. So I could be really good and do it on my timeline, and which is what I think I'm going to actually do. This one's going to rotate light 1 from 18 degrees to minus 50 degrees. You see where I'm picking that up? Okay. Window timeline. Light 1. Create. Property track. I'm going to rotate on the horizon. And I said it's going from 18 degrees if I can type, 18 degrees to, it's going to be too fast. What did I say?
50, I believe.
Negative 50.
Negative 50, yeah.
Negative 50. Okay. Now I need to work on my grammar a little bit. That I've got is out of hand. Okay. So I'm going to just take this right here, that animation, going to hold the control key, duplicate it, duplicate it, duplicate it, duplicate it, and duplicate it. Okay, there goes that one back and forth. So second light. We're going to start off at minus 15. To about 38. Minus 15 to 38. pick those up, hold the command key, control key. I'm still holding the control key. Stop. Eat that up just a little bit. Nice. What did I do to that? What did I do? I kept duplicating and messed up because I duplicated that 0 key. Ha 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 ha. Hate it when that happens. So that one should be, I said minus 15.
Yeah.
Minus 15.
Okay, so that one, and I'm gonna hold the command key, and that one. Oops. Control key. Don't pick your finger up like I just did, because then you just lose it all. That's what I'm doing. My finger slipped and accidentally hit the Alt key as I was selecting these is what that was all about. Okay. So those should all be at minus 15. And now that one's at 38, good. And that one should be at 38. I think maybe we have it. Cool, 2 animated lights. Okay, add 2 cameras, animate at least 1, and then switch cameras. Okay, stop that. We'll set our first camera. I'm going to start off with it looking something like this. Drop a camera. And then I need one that's going to animate in some way, shape, or form. It's fine. Let's add a second camera. I don't know where.
You get a multi-angle.
Yeah.
Go left to right.
I'll drop a camera there, and just for consistency's sake, I'll drop a third camera, even though you only have to drop 2. One of them needs to animate, so I'm going to take that first camera, edit property track. Let's do a focal length or field of view, whichever one we want. We can do focal length. And by default, it starts off as a 36 millimeter lens, which is where I am right now. So I'm going to actually take it and have it slowly animate. So let's start it off at 50 and animate it to 25. Zoom in, slow zoom in. And then I'm going to have it zoom back out. Ooh, ah. You can see it animating up there. And just so you can see what that camera's actually doing. Okay, animated camera. And we need to switch cameras. In order to switch cameras, we're going to need to go to a stage object. We're going to start off with camera. And now I need to animate that stage object, create property track, and I'm going to add camera. Helps if I'm on the right thing. Create property track, add camera. It's starting off with the regular camera. Somewhere out there I'm going to bounce it over to one of the cameras, camera 1. And then swap back to camera 2, or swap over to camera 2, and then just be really obnoxious here. Because that's how I am, is really obnoxious sometimes. So add some extra camera switches in there. So let's go to, stop this, stop. Go to camera. If I did that right. It's showing camera 2. Did I have everything highlighted when I did it? Probably. Yep, that should be camera. I must have had all the keyframes highlighted when I did that without realizing it. Camera 2. Back to camera 1. Back to camera 2. Back to camera 1. Back to camera 2. Back to camera. That should be at frame 300. Okay. Camera switches in. One's animated. Okay. Animate a material or texture tag. All right. Let's animate a material. We'll drop in the yellow. Create property track. What shall we do? Let's just yellow. Add some blue to it. Yeah, that's not going to be pretty. That's all right. Let's take the green out. So, I've got green, control, and start it off at 100, and it's going to go to 0, and make sure to see what happened. Both of them are highlighted. I want to make sure that I click off and do that. That's what I've been doing, is not paying attention. Now it's 100 to 0. And I'll just let it change. A couple times. Okay, the material is now animated. One property is anyway. Add a sky, floor, or other background. I like to do things inside a giant sphere. So I could go add just one of those, but you notice when we render a lot of times your floor and your sky kind of fall out of it. One of the things, just because I like weird stuff, is I like to go and drop in a sphere and then set that, I don't know, maybe 2000. Now I'm actually inside the sphere. I'm going to create a new material to put on that sphere, and I want to add some reflection at 100%, just because I and drop that in there. Wow. There we go. And so that's interesting that it's showing that environment. But inside a totally reflective sphere, it's gonna, the lights and everything will bounce and reflect all sorts of funky ways. Okay, text blind, volume, add material, different materials, spotlight, cameras, material, and then it's just a matter of saving that, file save, and then jumping over to After Effects, which I have closed, and putting it on your timeline and telling it to render, right? Any questions?
Wait, how do you do that?
You can repeat all that.
Just to review exporting real quickly, file, save as. We're going to save our C4D project. Hopefully. Final demo, C4D, yes. That's fine. Replace is fine. And so now I'm coming back over to After Effects. File. Come on, catch up with me. Gonna have to go close some of these other programs here eventually. Sorry for making y'all wait. Really, come on. Open After Effects. There it goes. File. Import file. Final C4D demo. Open. It could still be saving in the other window for all I know. As soon as we're done here, I'm going to have to reboot the machine. Okay, so here it is. I'm going to just take it and drag it to the timeline. Now, up here, you're going to want to make sure that you... I don't want to get started. What do we have? 2 versions of After Effects trying to run at the same time? Probably. You're going to want to go to Standard Final, because you'll notice over here you see all the lines and arrows. If you just do the software, you're going to end up with the lines and arrows and all that. So you want to go to Standard Final. And now we're getting what we're supposed to have. And so now I can do File, Export to Render Queue, and Render. And in a minute or two, I should have a movie. Or 3. There it goes. It's rendering little by little. You see the frames actually rendering out. Okay, I'm not going to make us sit here and watch that. I'm going to pause the recording for just a moment. Okay, so the animation is now finished, and we should be able to go over to Finder. File, new Finder window, desktop. That's what we need to upload to Blackboard, is the MOV that is rendered out. If you'd like to see it, we can go ahead and open. And again, the computer's running very slow today. Sorry about that. When it first opens in QuickTime, it's going to convert to the MOV to QuickTime. And let's go ahead and make it a little bigger so everybody can see it okay. And will it play? And just to make it a little more interesting, for playback purposes, I'll hit loop. There we go. Okay, that should give you what you need to know for final review.